Open fire. Now that I have your attention.
Welcome to the Chase Ascendancy podcast.
I'd be careful where I was sticking my nose if I were you.
Hey everybody, welcome back to
the Chase Ascendancy.
Well, here we are. And so it's been a couple of weeks. Man, it's been a crazy couple of weeks here for me. For those of you who are fans of the channel, or maybe this is your first time listening in, I don't know why that would be the case, but we're happy to have you. If you are a listener,
keep listening though.
Yeah, welcome. If you are a listener, you know probably that I just had my third son. Well, my wife pushed him out, but I welcomed him into the world.
Unless we have a Big Daddy scenario, or no, never mind. That's the what movie am I thinking of? It's got Arnold Schwarzenegger and
and
Danny DeVito.
I don't know. That sounds. I know what you're talking about, but
Danny DeVito's a scientist, and Arnold Schwarzenegger
not
is
twins. It's the one where Arnold Schwarzenegger
mother.
has the baby.
He gets pregnant. Big Daddy's the one with
2022 of them ahead of their time.
Schwartz pregnant. So basically, we had our third baby, this past Sunday. But it's been really crazy because we were kind of waiting. Just some different complications. Definitely the most difficult pregnancy out of the three. So, but he's here, he's happy, he's healthy. And so we're excited that he's here, but that's why we haven't been recording reviews for the last couple of weeks of the Book of Boba Fett, which of course, anybody who knows me knows I made 30 days of Boba Fett. I was not happy about missing the last 2 weeks, but I made an exception for my son.
If anyone like me is still thinking about the thing I brought up, the name of the film is Junior.
There you go. Very cool. So here's what we're going to do. Samuel's got T-minus about 30 minutes or so. And so that doesn't mean the show has to be just 30 minutes, but we want to get lots of his thoughts and feelings out there about these last couple of episodes. And so we're going to do a couple of things. We are going to review the last 2 episodes of the Book of Boba Fett. And then we're going to look ahead to what the finale might look like. And Boba Fett here himself is in the chat.
What a beautiful profile picture you have, Zach.
Right?
You look so handsome. Who took that?
So for anyone who doesn't know, we have a couple of guests on today. So the gentleman in the beautiful black chrysanthemum shirt that looks like black chrysanthemums peeking out of his left breast is Chance. Chance is a good buddy of ours, and I've known him for about 10 years. And then below me is Zach Pachone, and he is the second biggest Boba Fett fan I know behind myself. And so Zach and Chance are here with us. And so me, Zach, Chance, Samuel are all in different kinds of the same work. But Chance and Zach work just a building over from me. And so there's lots of times that'll be a slow Thursday and I'll slither off to their office to talk about what's been going on in Star Wars. So I asked if they would join us. And so here we are.
I got to say, this is the first time I've been in a Zoom meeting with Zach that his camera was actually on him. I'm shocked.
That's fair. So here's what we're going to do. First, we're going to do, like I said, Samuel's a little bit crunched for time. So we'll get the review out, and I'd love to review the last 2 episodes of the Book of Boba Fett. And then we'll jump ahead to our thoughts, predictions, and predictions like, hey, this is probably going to happen. And other predictions like, no way, but here's what I want to see happen for the finale of the Book of Boba Fett. My goal is to get this out by late on Tuesday, February 8th. So that this can be available and see how many of our prophecies come to pass in the few wee hours of the morning. So for Zach and Chance, here's what a review looks like on the Chase Ascendancy podcast. It's 5 parts, and we're going to skip the 5th part until we go into our predictions for the finale. So number 1's overall thoughts on the episode. Number 2 is rating the episode. Number 3, standout moments. Number 4, new characters. And then 5th is looking ahead. So obviously we'll be looking ahead at the end of this episode towards the finale of season 1 of the Book of Boba Fett. I say season 1 because I'm very much expecting a season 2, and we'll see where that takes us. So I guess I'll start with Chance up here. Give us your overall thoughts on the meat of the episode of the Book of Boba Fett, Chapter 5, which is the basically Mandalorian pilot for season 3.
Yeah, I mean, I think that kind of nails it. It was great to see Mando back on the screen. Was not upset about that at all. Obviously, didn't see Boba in the episode, but man, it was just cool to catch up with Mando to see what he was doing. My wife and I, we always watch that show together, and we've said several times that, man, I could just watch a whole season of Mando just doing bounties. I don't need it, to tie into a greater story, even though I'm glad it is. I just like watching. I just like watching him do what he does. I loved getting the I can bring you in warm, I can bring you in cold line in. In fact, that was great hearing him say it again. It went back to that Western feel-ish. Obviously, the Klatooians was a different feel, and it was like the Western meets a mobster movie.
It showed whatever happens if the South ever gets in a fight with the North again.
Tony, man, it was awesome. I loved it. So overall, it's one of my favorite episodes of Mando I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was definitely a Mandalorian episode. But something I thought was interesting. Okay, so as a Star Wars fan, stoked. As a Boba Fett fan, I was like, what the frick is going on? Just because I felt robbed for my boy. But the interesting thing is the Book of Boba Fett is sort of an interlude, a sidestep in what they're calling the Mandoverse. And so I think what I'm having to realize is the Mandalorian is based on Boba Fett. You see what I'm saying? Like the Mandalorian is everything we knew about Boba Fett as far as never takes his helmet off, quiet demeanor, all of those things. So I can't be upset when the Mandalorian does great Boba Fett impressions for a whole episode, because the Boba Fett we're getting in the Book of Boba Fett, although it's a very cool fleshing out of the character, he can't be the exact same person that we've seen the Mandalorian be, because then they're too similar. They have to diverge. They have to split at some point. So I was a little butthurt to see the Mandalorian be better as Nicole, to be better as Boba Fett. But you know what? I think that instead of letting that poison my heart towards the episode, I just enjoyed it. I just dove into it. And so I agree. I thought it was really good. So moving to the second portion of the concept of this review, what would you give it out of 10? So 1 being an episode of Star Wars where it's just the worst Star Wars you've ever seen. Although it's good, it's Star Wars, so it's still good. But your least favorite Star Wars is a 1, and your favorite Star Wars is a 10. What do you rate episode 5 of the Book of Boba Fett, Chance?
I mean, for me, just thinking about, even though again it didn't have Boba in it, I found myself missing the Boba storyline. But I still think that overall, I would give it a 9 or a 10 for sure.
Yeah, it was maybe it's interesting because there's been 2 times already this year that I've seen the Book of Boba Fett and been like, that's the best Star Wars I've seen since Revenge of the Sith. And episode 2 of the Book of Boba was the train heist one, with the cool drugs lizard that Boba sniffs and the sand people. But as far as an episode of Star Wars, I would have to agree. I'm gonna jump over to Samuel real quick. I know Zach was a little bit late getting on, so I don't want to rush his thoughts. But Samuel, what was your thoughts on Chapter 5, The Return of the Mandalorian?
Chapter 5, I'm gonna skip ahead to part 2 and then come back to part 1. I'll probably give it in the 9 to 9.5 range.
Oh snap, that's high for Samuel, y'all.
It is really high for me. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I am not as big of a Boba Fett fan as you are, so even though this is the Book of Boba Fett and it's just like kind of a limited run, I was also very excited for the other content, mainly just to explore some stuff that, one, selfishly, I'm excited that it's a setup basically for Mando season 3,
Right.
because it means we're going to be able to hit the ground running. So that bodes well for what's going to happen there. But I also enjoyed seeing the intricacies of things that were playing out, because these are questions that we kind of had beforehand. So I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot, actually. I was really upset when it ended. I liked getting to see Mando use the Darksaber in combat. I thought that was really cool. I like seeing how using a lightsaber impacts somebody who's not a Force user, because it seemed to, like he said, like the more he uses it, the heavier it gets. So there's some sort of like dynamic in it that shows the life of the Kyber crystal, that it actually like interacts with the lightsaber wielder to some degree.
Do you think that that's specific to the Darksaber because it's got more of that mythology surrounding it, or do you think that is lightsabers in general for non-Force users?
I would say perhaps the Darksaber is unique only because the hilt's made of Kyber, or made of Beskar. So
yeah,
it's probably going to be heavier than your average lightsaber, but I would say that it probably alludes more to the fact that the Kyber crystal is like kind of a living thing. I had a long Sunday, but I had like an hour off. So I read my entire collection of Darth Vader comics, and in that,
as you should.
Yeah, it's just killing time with an entire collection of Darth Vader comics. There's that line where Darth Vader's like reclaiming a lightsaber. And so part of it is where Palpatine's talking about how a Sith makes his saber. And he says that the Kyber's like strangely alive, that it has some sort of life of its own, some sort of will of its own. So I think that that's kind of a cool thing to toss into what's a little bit more mainstream Star Wars content, even though it's not really fleshed out.
Yeah.
I liked seeing the Naboo fighter. I thought that was cool. Not sure I'm like married to the idea of it being like it's a cool A to B. I don't think it's a great utility vehicle. Like he basically lived in his previous ship. So I kind of want to see it. I've talked to you. I think I talked to you about this. But I kind of want to see it like be a Ghost Phantom kind of scenario where it's like a drop ship and he can leave, his new like actual cruiser like out in orbit if he needs to like just make a planetary run.
Yeah.
But as far as what he does, I don't think it's super practical. It is freaking sick though. It's sick.
Yeah, I think
it's awesome.
It reminds me of like, like Zach, for instance. Zach has a motorcycle, but he doesn't drive his motorcycle every day. There are days for your motorcycle, but there's days for your regular car. And so
some days it's raining,
Yeah. So I think it makes me think like, I agree. I think right now it's supposed to be very symbolic of his transition from full-time bounty hunter to like, he doesn't need to carry around.
Dad,
yeah, he doesn't, or for stay-at-home Mandalore.
Yeah, there's a car seat in the back too.
Yeah,
it's like a little.
Yeah,
it looks like one of those domes at the zoo that you can like go into the prairie dog exhibit and you like pop your head out.
At least if Grogu throws up now, it's on himself. Like it's just in that one little spot. It doesn't get on Mando anymore.
Yeah. No.
So Zach, I'll pan over to you real quick. Overall thoughts and a rating for Chapter 5, The Return of the Mandalorian.
Yeah, I don't know if you can exactly call it a Book of Boba Fett episode. The past 2 episodes are pretty much all Mando. I guess that's a different conversation, but no, I loved it. It's probably one of my favorite pieces of Star Wars content they've put out in a while.
Right.
I talked to you and Chance a little bit about this, like after it came out a couple weeks ago, of like just the world building that happens, because you see so much the backside of Star Wars, where it's we talked about, instead of there being sewers, there's the under part of the Halo ring, whatever that is. Like, so
right,
they're
totally
on the outside of it. And then like the meat locker and just seeing things that are in Star Wars that you don't really think about, or that I'm never like, I want to see what a meat locker is like in Star Wars, but you got to see it. And it was actually really cool. Just little small details that help build more Star Wars.
Right.
And part of
like, what if a dog had a beard?
Right. For the first 4 episodes of Book of Boba have felt kind of claustrophobic, where you're in one spot.
Yeah.
And I think Boba's just a bigger character. So I also think
I was going to say, I think that the Tuscan side of the first couple of episodes, I think that's one of the reasons it stood out, because you were on Tatooine, but it didn't feel like you were on Tatooine because you're with the
Right.
Tuscans.
I think Mando
Isn't Tatooine the only place where the Tuscans are?
Yeah, but you get what I'm saying.
I think Mando
Yeah.
is the character that we were all wanting in Boba Fett, though.
Right.
I think the mysterious intrigue that like Western, like I wonder who this guy is. I think they kind of took that and ran with that for Mando. But I loved Chapter 5. I'd probably rate it probably a 9. Also, I just think it was just pure Star Wars, and like I said, a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes that was just really well done. It seemed like they spent a lot more money on that episode too.
Yeah, we talked about the I don't know what we want to call it. Not world building, because that's like planet to planet, but I guess like set design seemed a lot more detailed and like little things moving and stuff.
The graphics, the back, like when you see scenes, there's like stuff happening 200 yards away, like small little details. And
I think that's what happens when you get out of like one building.
Right.
You know what
So
I mean?
I think
felt bigger.
Also, it's the director, though. I mean, the director of episode 5, they fused it was a
Bryce
Dallas Howard.
There was a specific episode in Mando that was done. Same director.
Yeah, she's on like the team of directors for Mando.
And
well, she did the really great one where the Bo-Katan reveal, even though screw Bo-Katan, the Bo-Katan reveal from Mando season 2, where you had the Quarren, or you had the Mon Calamari with like the fishing sweater on, and like all that kind of stuff. That was Bryce Dallas Howard's episode.
Like it seems like she is intentional to kind of have nods to these other things. Like there's a lot of Easter eggs, I feel like, in 5.
Yeah,
and,
I feel like she made it pretty accessible too, like kind of talking about the butt or the backside of Star Wars, like Zach brought up. Like there's the whole airport security scene, like that's freaking hilarious.
Right. And like him on it's like a bus, like a Greyhound bus when he's in the thing with the Rodian, like the little kid sitting in front of him. It's just so much more random things.
Yeah,
that
it's
you
just
didn't
like
think you wanted.
regular life in Star Wars. It's really fun.
We,
it's like it's relatable, but still Star Wars. You know what I mean?
Are we all still waiting to find out like something happened when they through the airport security, right? Like they went to all the trouble of watching him unload all of his weapons, and then I thought for sure when they reopened the case, something was going to be gone. Nothing was gone. Like, I had to have had a reason to show all that, right? Like something's going to be up.
I think it's just what Samuel was saying. I think it's just the relatability. Like, there's not really a point of showing the little kid bugging him on the back of the seat, but it makes all of us who have ever gone to an airport go, or for those of us who have kids go, oh, Jesus Christ, somebody get that kid. Like, I don't know about you guys. A lot of people felt for Mandalorian in that scene. I felt for the Rodian's mother who was sitting next to him, because I was like, that's that dumb kid, turn around. Because I'm the one that has, a 4-year-old, 2-year-old, and a newborn who are always like, what are you doing? Like looking behind the seat. So I was like, that poor Rodian.
But I love that they gave it to us in such a Star Wars way.
Yeah, exactly. Really like cool. It was like every day, but Star Wars.
I think this is also for me, leading up to the Book of Boba Fett, doing the whole 30 days of Boba stuff. I found myself like continuing to harp on anything Karen Traviss wrote about the Republic Commandos and the stuff from Legacy of the Force, where Boba Fett becomes the Mandalore. And I was telling, I remember I was saying this in multiple videos that I feel sad that Karen Traviss isn't a part of any of the Star Wars writing stuff anymore, because she fleshed out the Mandalorian culture more than anybody else had up until we get Mandalorian. And even now, like the content she put out, there's more depth for the Mandalorian like culture and what she's put out in a handful of books than what we've gotten in the Mandalorian so far. And I felt like the chapter 5 of Book of Boba, when it was like, hey, stories of eons past tell of the mythosaur's rise to prominence and bringing back, the re-prominence of the Mandalorians, stuff like that we had never gotten before. And so even though obviously I missed Boba, we got so much rich history and background from what was going on in the stuff that the armorer was saying to the Mandalorian. So let me ask you guys this real quick. We'll move on to 6 and then we'll go from there. But what do you guys think about when she's talking about the Mythosaur rising is going to bring about the return of the prominence of the Mandalorian people? A, and B, whenever she asks if he's removed his helmet and he has to say yes because he has to tell the truth by creed, and she says the only way you can atone is to wash in the water under the mines of Mandalore. What do you think? Is there anything that you're like, I think it means this, but I think this is what's going to happen? Any of those, any tinfoil hat moments for y'all in those moments, or is that just me?
I like on a wild hair predicted that Luke would make an appearance in the show because I was like, why the heck not? And it happened. So I think it's no holds barred no holds barred at this point. Like I freaking anything could happen. I don't think we're going to see anything on it until Mando season 3.
Sure.
I think that's going to be like more of his story. I expect that a lot of the rest, I mean, there's just one episode left. I think it's going to be a little bit predictable because it's kind of the episode 3 sort of situation where you know how episode 3 had to end, you know, when it was released back in the day. So I think it's just going to be like kind of a wrapping up of Boba Fett's story. I think it's going to be very much return to Jabba's palace and Mos Espa and what's going on with the Pikes. I mean, because that's where it has to close, right? But it's all been like building up to that point. As far as like the prophetic side of what the armorer said, I try to take it a little bit more literally because she doesn't really seem to like talk very like out there. It seems like most of the stuff she says is pretty applicable. Yeah.
Right.
So I think that like she really expects like the Mandalorians to come back now that the Empire's fallen, but I think that there's like a very literal, I mean, I don't know what the frick we're gonna see on Mandalore, but I think it's like a very literal, like he has to go there and carry out this kind of like sacrament almost, you know, to restore himself.
I guess what I thoughts that I've had, people have messaged me and stuff. The cool thing about this whole channel is now that I've had my Star Wars Instagram and now I have I'm part of the podcast. It's cool because when people have ideas, like I feel like I'm one of those landing points for like, did you see this? What do you think about this? And that's probably my favorite part of this whole thing is, you know, Zach or Chance or one of my Instagram buddies text me and is like, I know they said this, but what do you think about this theory concerning that? And it's interesting to me that she's like, well, songs of eons past tell of the mythosaurs rising back up. And when she's about to open up her, toolbox to make Grogu his tiny Wallace and Grumman undershirt, there's the mythosaur symbol is on that cabinet. And there is someone who wears the mythosaur crest on their Mandalorian armor, and it's Boba Fett. And I'm wondering if he's going to be the one that brings the Mandalorians back to prominence. And
the only reason I would say no is because she's such a stickler for like the old ways, and Boba Fett's almost entirely departed from them.
Yeah, but who cares about her?
Don't you think Mando's going to kind of have a realization of the stuff that he's been taught is kind of old and backwards? Because it's a lot of Death Watch religion or belief, right?
Yeah, I think Mando and the armor are going to end up duking it out at some point.
Yeah. I think that
I don't know that they're going to be friends much longer.
Well, dude, imagine if like, okay, first of all, Paz Vizsla, she says there's 3, to her knowledge, there's 3 Mandalorians in the whole galaxy. And Paz Vizsla's like, I'm going to take that sword and kill you. And it's like, okay, so you're going to rule you in the armor? What the freak is your problem, bro? Like, shouldn't y'all just be like breeding at this point? Like, why are you going to try to kill off the only other source of
biggest concern
reconstructive properties?
Is I feel like this is going to be a Rey becoming a Skywalker thing, and Din's going to figure out a way for like everyone can be a Mandalorian.
Well, the cool thing is Mandalorians are a creed versus just a bloodline. But I think
it's definitely given us some direction for Mando season 3. He's going to go back. Yeah. He's going to find out they're going to find out there's a bajillion more, right? It's
what if it's like an Elijah moment?
Makes it.
Yeah. What if it's an Elijah moment and he thinks he's the only one? And
because here's the thing, the Tigger movie. I thought that's the analogy you were going to.
No, the Tigger movie should never be mentioned ever again. It's the worst movie of all time. But okay, so if you listen to her dialogue, she says, if it weren't for us being on the moon of Concordia, we never would have made it. But if you think about it, that's her saying her group of people was on the moon of Concordia and they never would have made it. But what if, I mean, obviously there's got to be other Mandalorians in the galaxy, or What if there's a freaking, because transports in Star Wars are different. Like, okay, let's all get on the city bus. There's only 5,000 of us on here. Like, it's different. So like one ship makes it away. Like, think about that. Like in Empire Strikes Back, when the rebels are trying to get off of Hoth, one transport gets away and apparently the whole rebellion survives. So it's like, how many, one ship gets away on Mandalore, how many people is that? So I also wonder,
and it's like she's also discounting like a great presence of Mandalorians that are still out there that don't necessarily like acquiesce to her.
Yeah, her thing is
qualifies as a Mandalorian.
Yeah,
so there's still like Bo-Katan and her cronies or whatever the frick you want to call them, and then Boba Fett. He's got the chain codes, so by rights he's got like a Mandalorian kind of lineage.
100%.
So I mean, who knows who the freak else is out there that has nothing else to do with like maybe Bo-Katan's little diatribe, or obviously Boba Fett's the last one of his type, but you know what I mean? Like she's saying that like to her knowledge there's only this many people that are Mandalorians that also do exactly what I want to do. So I mean, it's very possible that there's the greater body of Mandalorians out there that haven't necessarily been as rigid as she is.
Well, I think that perhaps there's I think that she's going to be the, an enemy at some point. But I also think that maybe that the Mandalorian will find long lost family in someone like Boba Fett, because Boba Fett and the Mandalorian have way more in common than he realizes. Like, I don't think Boba Fett's going to die in the finale. To me, that's not productive. Like, we haven't
it's
even
it's a lot of work to bring him back just to kill him again.
Right. So if he is going to die, it's going to be in another project. So anyways, I guess we're going to get
other Mandalorians, like in Rebels, don't we find other houses kind of spread out?
Yeah, but that's before the Night of 1,000 Tears.
Oh, okay, true.
So like Sabine's that cautionary, or
but
not
they weren't
Sabine,
on Mandalore though.
I think that they had spread out, like Sabine and her house and everybody had kind of spread out a little bit, but they all got back together to try to drive the Empire off of Mandalore. And that's when Sabine gives the Darksaber to Bo-Katan.
But there could be possibility that not everybody responded to that call.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. That's what I'm saying, is I think that, like, we know for a fact Sabine's still out there. Sabine's going to be a huge part of the Ahsoka show. So that's one more Mandalorian at least. So the armor is not counting other people.
It's going to be like the Ready Player One at the end, when it's hey, everybody, there's this big moment. If we don't all rally, we're never going to, we're going to lose this.
Yeah.
And it's going to be everybody rallying behind, it's going to be everybody rallying behind Mando and whoever's with him in that moment.
Well, I mean, he has the Darksaber, so like by all rights, you could tell the armor that she's not a Mandalorian anymore.
Yeah, I've been seeing that meme where it's like, tell her you're not a Mandalorian.
Dude, they're going to fight. It's going to be awesome.
I think she's probably going to be the main antagonist for season 3 is my guess, because he's already got beef with Paz, and then the armor is pretty formidable. So I could very much see them kind of like going head to head in season 3 of Mando.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so moving on, man, that took a while. We always get so excited once we're recording. Okay, so chapter 6 is From the Desert Comes a Stranger. And it is just
he's got a nice hat.
Yeah. You remember it's just like a Skittles bag of characters. It's like you got a red one, a green one, a blue one, you got all of them. So I guess we'll go in the same order. So Chance, why don't you go first? Overall thoughts and rating for chapter 6 of the Book of Boba Fett.
I have great mixed emotions on this. I love the content, but I found myself really missing the Boba storyline. We got so much back history of Boba. I'm really ready to see current history of Boba. I'm ready to see more of what's going on in Mos Espa. I'm ready to see more fighting with the Pikes. I'm ready for that story to advance. So I loved just the almost a sense of nostalgia, seeing so much of the timeline of Star Wars all coming together in this one spot is obviously special, is cool, but I did find myself wanting Boba back at this point. And then Cad Bane popped on the screen and I didn't care about anything else ever again. And it immediately increased my rating You take Cad Bane out of that episode, I probably give it a 8 max, maybe a 7.
Right.
Just because of that, I felt like it felt more detourish to me. So I probably would give it a 7 without Cad Bane. But the second I saw a stranger walking in the distance, I was like, oh, I don't care about anything else. That's Cad Bane. That's Cad Bane.
How quickly when you saw a figure on the horizon, did you know it was Cad?
Immediately.
Instantly.
I turned to my wife and I was like, that's Cad Bane. That's Cad Bane. That is Cad Bane. That is
It
Cad
was
Bane.
Because it was 2 a.m. at my house. Okay, because I every like in a few hours, I take my recliner and I scoot it to where I'm almost underneath the television in my living room. And then at 2 a.m. I wake up, and every week I'm like, oh frick, why'd I do this? It's 1:55. And then I'm like, oh yeah, Book of Boba Fett's happening. And I wake up and I was sitting in my recliner and I'm being quiet, I don't want to wake up the boys or anything. And I see the silhouette and I go, it's Cad Bane, to myself under my freaking breath.
Dude, I was so fired up at that point. I didn't care about anything else. I've been, Mando in his own show has such a Western vibe to it that it's inevitable that these two characters have got to meet. They're the ultimate.
Has to. He's like the only Western character up to that point.
These two feel like there needs to be a shootout in the street. I can't wait to see it. So immediately Cad Bane's appearance it automatically puts it right back up to a 9-10 for me. And it really is just because I'm that excited to see that they put him on the screen.
Okay. So so you rated it a 9 or a 10?
With Cad, without Cad, 7 and a half.
Okay. All right. So let me do this. Samuel's got to run. Let's get your thoughts and 2 wild predictions. We'll end this call. We'll jump on a separate call right after that.
I can just leave.
Yeah, I know, but there's 4 of us, and so we have a time limit, and they're going to make us pay. So we're going to give them the runaround. So we got 3 minutes and 43 seconds to get off this call, Samuel. So give me your thoughts, rating, and 2 wild predictions for the finale.
Yeah, again, I'm my own man. I'm going to give you the rating first. A hard 9.5. Because I gave you a 9 to a 9.5 in the last one. This one's a hard 9.5.
Okay.
That's just I don't even care about.
Is this the best
storyline at this point?
Oh, God dang. That's rough. Okay.
I know. We're getting to get back to it, and I don't mind that. But I got to see Luke in the capacity that I wanted to see him since before episode 7 came out.
Yes.
So I'm not mad about that at all. I thought it was cool to see those droids like building stuff because you see all the freaking landmarks that you're like, who took the time to stack all the rocks? And it turns out nobody. It's robots that look like ants and are also slaves to R2D2. He's like, hey, build a bench.
That's awesome. Yeah, he was kind of the boss man.
Oh yeah, he's large and in charge. I thought it was cool to see that Order 66 inclusion, like that kind of repressed memory from Grogu. Cad Bane, obviously a huge thing. I think Cobb Vanth is a very cool character, so it's like the 2 Western, white hat, black hat kind of face off there. I enjoyed. I loved it all. Every single thing that came up that was new, I was like, there wasn't really a letdown. I thought it was funny. I saw a meme that was like, hey, everybody's talking about all the cameos in chapter 6. But if you go to like this timestamp, actually Boba Fett made an appearance in the Book of Boba Fett. And I thought that he's like, he doesn't say anything, doesn't do anything, but he's there. And I thought that was really funny.
I have a feeling, especially, if there's not a season 2, I feel like he's going to go the freak off tonight because he has to.
Yeah, he's going to go
wait for episode 7. So
yeah, so I mean, I'm excited for the conclusion because there's been so much. There's been such a large hiatus between we left off in chapter 4 to everything that has to be done in chapter 7.
And everybody's forgotten that episode 4 is when the Bacta tank spits him out and says you're at 100% now, and we have not gotten to see him in action since then.
Yeah, so I'm excited for that. I hope that all the Vespas got a little bit of a tune-up because in case there's another chase scene, I want to exceed 70 miles an hour.
That way if somebody can't just sprint away from them and their bikes. All right, minute and a half, 2 wild predictions.
I don't think we're going to see Luke and Grogu again. I think that's going to get saved again for Mando. Sky's the limit, really. I really don't know where it's going to go. I mean, I expect that Boba's going to kind of push the Pike Syndicate out, but I don't know, man. It's like my head's like too full of ideas to narrow it down to just like 2.
Okay, let me ask you, do you think Cad Bane survives the finale, yes or no?
No. No, he's old. He needs to go out. He needs to go out fighting.
He's 70 years old.
He's old. I looked it up. The Duros lifespan caps out at like 75, 80 years old. So
Yeah.
he's in the twilight years of his life, and he needs to go out fighting. There's like no, he doesn't get to die of old age. He's Cad Bane. That's not how he goes out. So,
All right. We'll let you run before we run out. But peace be with you. And me and Zach and Chance will catch up right after this.
And we need your tagline, sir.
The only family you have yet is me.
All right. We'll catch right back up. All right. So Samuel had to hop off. I guess he's got a busy day tomorrow. So he's getting some stuff together. I think it's because he's talking to his girlfriend, but whatever. No, I'm just kidding. Listen, if my wife walked in and was like, hey, I need you, I'd be like, all right, guys, we're going to cut this meeting short. So I can't really say anything. So we left off with Samuel giving us his thoughts and rating for chapter 6. And so, Zach, I wanted to get your thoughts. So from the desert comes a stranger, action-packed, cameo-filled. What are your thoughts? What's your rating? Tell us all your love for it.
Mando season 2.5, episode 2 was also really good.
That's right, dude.
To be honest, I don't think I liked it as much as the other one. I love Luke. I didn't mind the CGI. I thought they killed that. The puppet movement for Grogu was a little hilarious, but I just kind of chuckled.
It's weird because I embrace it. Like, I know it looks kind of bad, but I'm like, he's so cute. I don't even care.
I feel stuck in like a place where I'm like, this is what I want. More Star Wars, morphine drip, even though some of it's not the best, but it's Star Wars. So it's good. It's good content. As far as the content goes, it was great. You get to see Luke. And I think maybe down the road, we get more of that, like Luke in this early stages of training the temple, and maybe we get to figure out what happened with him and Ben and hash that out. Who knows? But
dude, was I the only one?
Hopeful.
Was anybody else thinking when we saw? Okay, so right off the bat, when I saw the androids and they were starting to build the temple, I immediately was thinking, this looks like the temple from The Last Jedi that burns down. Number one. Number two, I totally thought that we were going to see a young Ben Solo there visiting Uncle Luke,
that'd be cool,
or coming to check it out. I thought that would be crazy. I know that this is supposed to be basically like 5-ish years after Return of the Jedi, so he'd only be like 4 or 5. But I mean, I know he didn't start his training till around 10, but I was like, holy crap, what if,
It could be something. He could make an appearance in Mando.
Like he could. I just thought he would stop by. Like he doesn't need to be an apprentice yet, but it'd be cool to see him.
It's probably still a little early. I think maybe they'll wait.
We're not sure what planet that is, though, right? Like we don't actually know what planet that is.
People speculated, but
it's for sure the planet where Luke's temple was burned down from the vision of the Last Jedi.
Right, but we don't actually know where that is.
I don't think so, because like in the Rise of Kylo Ren comics, it just says like Jedi Temple. I don't think it ever says a location of like, here's where you are. I don't think that ever happens. So,
but yeah, I loved the Luke content. I think other than that, it was just like the Cobb Vanth and Cad Bane stuff. What I appreciated was at the beginning of the episode, when you see Vanth fire on those guys, you can see like how skilled he is with his gun. Like he's there for a reason, doing what he's doing for a reason. And then when you see Cad walk up at the end, and he just does it so effortlessly at such an old age as well. I think someone said like comparing age for like Duros and humans, he's basically like 100 years old human wise.
So
yeah,
I think the average lifespan of a human is like 60 something. I don't know, 80 something. What's the average lifespan? 70?
It's gonna be like 85.
So the average lifespan for a Duros is 80. They die slightly younger than us. So for him to show up,
but basically he's walking.
He's 70, so it's like he's 80.
Right. And he just does away with them, no problem. And I think because I think Vanth is a great character, and I just wanted to point out like he's very skilled, but even now, Cad at his age just dropped him like no problem. Like, so I think it elevates how great
the skill of
is.
Okay, so were you guys also like going back and pausing it to see where Cad Bane where Cobb Vanth got shot?
No,
dude, I went back. It was 2 a.m. and I was like,
it looks like it was like right here, right?
It's like in the shoulder. So the fact that he pulled and shot him in like a wound area, like a I gotcha area, before he shot the deputy like 76 times, I think it was a warning, like I'm faster than you and I'm that accurate. Pow, right there in the shoulder.
Yeah.
So I
As
think
long as the
I think
spice
he
keeps
survived.
running. Oh,
But yeah,
snap,
Cad's
dog.
awesome. I love Cad. I think he's a great character.
Well,
I think
totally agree with you, seeing how fast Vanth was, but I knew how so he's old and Cobb Vanth is fast as freak, but hearing him say, "You never should have given up your armor," I was like, well, we know how this is going to go.
It reminds me of like, back in like, when you're watching Clone Wars, you're getting to know Ventress and you see Ventress like taking on, Anakin and Obi-Wan at the same time. And she's holding her own. You're like, okay, she's pretty good. And then you see her and a couple of the Night Sisters. They're invisible and Dooku is drugged and woke up in the middle of the night and he still owns all three of them.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, like, because obviously Dooku didn't get that level of a nod in the movies to his saber skills, but in Clone Wars, I was like, wow, Dooku is that's incredible. Yeah. And I felt like it's kind of like that. Like you see Cobb Vanth, and you're like, oh dang, that guy's like fastest gun in the West. And then here comes the next one that's like so much faster that it's like, who are you?
He just dominated.
Just owned it. He's the Doc Holliday of Star Wars universe.
Okay.
Cobb Vanth.
Yeah, I agree. Sorry, Mace was letting me know something about the baby. So yeah, it's really crazy to me because I think Star Wars focuses so much on, well, also we didn't have TV shows. It was just like 2.5 hour movies once every 4 years. So you don't get to flesh out the characters like you can in the books and things. So Star Wars focuses so much on the character development of the good guys that guys like Maul and Dooku and Grievous, Jango, they don't get the exposure they need. You guys want to see something cool?
Hey, friend.
What's up, little man?
Look at this little guy. Oh my goodness.
First appearance. I like it. What's up, dude?
Say welcome to the Chiss Ascendancy. He's asleep. Nice hiccup. But
dude, what do you think at the end when they explode the cantina? Everybody in there's dead, right?
Yeah, but Max Rebo wasn't in there. That's all that matters to me.
Is that the
No, it's the blue guy.
The piano guy.
Yeah, but that guy was in there.
Yeah,
the
homeboy. Yeah. What's his name?
He was in there.
Not Max. Max Rebo is the blue guy. Figure and Dan. I think he's out, dog. I think he's out.
He was in there.
I think that we didn't get enough character development from Dooku, and so to see him take on those characters from Clone Wars and just murk on them was sick. And I think that I agreed. It's the same thing for Cad Bane, where it's like this guy just owned these 4 pikes. It wasn't just 3 of them. He owned 4, and one of them was so slow on the draw that he let him live because he was reaching for a gun and he was like, think it through. And the fact that Cad takes him out is going to make Boba look even better when he takes Cad out. If that's what happens, we'll see. Cad Bane cannot kill Boba Fett. If that happens, I'm going to rage.
Prediction wise,
What's wrong?
I don't know if they're going to give Boba a season 2 or not. I feel like we're going to see a pretty, if not a full conclusion, like a soft conclusion. Because I think
we'll get a soft conclusion where Boba can.
I agree.
Can either
continue it if they want,
or he can go with Mandalorian. Maybe
Disney seems to be very focused on giving you a nod to the characters you've always loved, but they seem very focused on introducing new characters for you to love.
That's kind of what I was saying.
The Mandalorian's the star of this era of Star Wars right now,
right? I think that's they really want to elevate Mando, and so I think the Boba was kind of like okay, we get it. You want to see Boba? Here's Boba, but still, this Mando guy is pretty cool, right?
I would love, I don't mind for Boba to be like, okay, so for instance, like Fennec Shand isn't Boba's right hand, like she's willingly there as a partner in a sense. I think
Fennec dies.
I think Fennec's gonna die, and I think that it could be even that maybe Boba could go with the Mandalorian as a partner. You know,
I think we'll see Cad Boba Bane in cameos.
You can't have Cad Bane come onto the scene as the opposition and him not kill a main character. A main character has to die. I'm hoping it's not. Well,
it's interesting.
I'm hoping it's not not my guy here, but it might be because a character has to die, and they're not. And I agree. I don't think it's going to be Mando. Obviously, I don't think it's going to be Boba. I think
it can't be Mando because Mando season 3 is coming out.
That's what I'm saying. It's. I don't think it's going to be Boba. I do think that we're probably going to see Chrysanthemum or Finnick or maybe even both get killed. Because they're characters that we like.
I'm starting to
think they realize they've got to sacrifice somebody. Cad Bane's on the screen.
All the biker gang gone
in an instant.
We'd be cheering for Cad Bane.
Dude, what if the episode opens up and the Vespas are just exploded all over the ground, and it pans up and Cad Bane goes, "Now that I've taken out the trash, can we take this a little bit more seriously?" Dude.
Or even better, if all of the Vespas were on fire and he walked over and took one of their hats, and all he said was, "It was a nice hat."
It was a nice hat.
That would be awesome.
So one thing I think is, what if? Okay, so obviously, dang, this dude just pooped. I'm rocking him, and he's in my hand, and I just felt like a movement. If you're new to the channel, I'm rocking a baby. But the nemesis of any Wookiee is a Trandoshan. So for every Cad Bane versus Boba Fett, I wonder if Bosk is going to be.
I think it would be Overload. I don't know that they're going to bring him in. I would love it. I just don't know.
I would have chosen to see Bosk over Luke Skywalker in the Book of Boba Fett. Just me personally.
I think it would have been more appropriate.
I agree. I'm just glad I told you this a couple episodes ago. I'm really glad to see Chrysanthemum. I know that you like Bosk, and I think Bosk is a cool character. I've been waiting to see a Wookiee rip somebody's arms off for like 40 years. And so we finally got to see it, and I couldn't be happier about it. I just want to see angry Wookiee. Like, that's just the character I want to see.
Dude, it's gonna be buck wild, dude. And I think in the finale, we're gonna finally see Boba Fett ride that Rancor.
I don't think we're going to get like a Luke Skywalker reappearance. I think Samuel mentioned earlier. I think he's done for this season. I think maybe he'll come back in Mando or whatever.
I think that the big decision for Grogu has to be saved for Grogu's bigger show in The Mandalorian.
So I think it'll just be a full fight with all the characters we've already seen.
Yeah, I agree.
I think one of the things about the Luke scenes that kind of threw me off a little bit is, besides the training stuff seemed so forced, like they were trying to show us more scenes than they needed to. They could have just showed us one or two training scenes, and I think we would have got the picture. He was being trained.
It felt like it took up a third of the episode.
It was
to see Luke. It was
too much. I think the biggest thing I took from that scene is when Luke said, "Well, it's less like I'm training him and more like I'm reminding him," and that was probably the biggest takeaway for me from those scenes. But I think that, and I mentioned this to Zach in the office, I said the one line from the episode that I just truly hated was when Luke turns to Ahsoka and he's like, "Will I ever see you again?" And I try not to be hard or overly critical of Star Wars because I'm loyal to the brand, but I was just like, come on, man. Like, that was such like a weird, it was so forced because obviously they were just giving a nod to Ahsoka's show and they were giving everybody, something to speculate about. Is Luke going to be in the show?
Or a nod to Anakin asking his mom, "Will I ever see you again?" It's okay. He went potty.
Maybe that's it. I felt like it was more the latter. I feel like, or the former. I felt like it was more about, Ahsoka's got her own show coming. Obviously, we're not going to see her again in this show. And it's like, will I see you again? I don't know. Will Luke be in Ahsoka show?
I think there's genuine intrigue from Luke, though, because he's still young, and I think it means that she was his dad's apprentice.
It's a link to Anakin. That's the main thing.
It felt more like his tone felt like an episode 4 Luke, and not the Luke that we ended on in episode 6.
Yeah, I think for me, he's lonely. Like, I think at this point, he's trained Leia, and she's backed away from her training. He's trying to train Grogu, but she
can't have yet because she what makes her back away from her training is the stuff that goes on with Ben, isn't it? That's the thing that made her back down.
No, it's like training post Indoor, so they train on Indoor, right?
Yeah, it's been 5 years.
I got to get a power thing for my laptop.
Oh, good. We'll keep going. So. Yeah, I think if I'm not mistaken, Leia's already trained for a smidge and has backed away. And
It's
so
pure speculation, but I'm pretty sure they kind of hang around for a little bit, and he trains her on Endor.
yeah, I think that she's the way that it looks in the Rise of Skywalker doesn't look like the planet that they're on right now. The planet that Endor looks more like a European forest, and where they're at now looks more like a Pacific island or like Eastern Asia, like bamboo and all that stuff.
Right.
I think that he tried to train Leia and it didn't work out. And he's like, so we got to start from scratch. And that's why they're building the whole new temple and everything. It's interesting because it was really crazy whenever Ahsoka tells Luke he's just like his dad. That was, I don't know. I saw so many memes where it was like, it was a picture of Anakin killing the younglings and a picture of Luke raising up his lightsaber towards Ben. And it was like, so much like your father. I thought that was funny. You know what's so crazy is I'm such a nerd when it comes to like looking for every single Easter egg. And so when he says, "Will I see you again?" and she says, "Perhaps," the word "perhaps" is a red flag in my mind for Thrawn. And so when she was like, "Perhaps," I was like, "Does that mean something about Thrawn? Is that something about Thrawn right there?" And I don't think it has anything to do with Thrawn. But it does make me wonder. I saw something on Twitter earlier where it was like, if I could get more Boba Fett and less everyone else in his finale of his show, please. I guess somebody had put out there to one of the bigger podcasts. Do you think we'll see Thrawn in the finale of the Book of Boba Fett? And the person was like, I don't want that. And it's funny because as much as I've been like jokingly hating on all the cameos the last 2 weeks about I want Boba Fett to have his own show, I would be so psyched if we saw Thrawn in the finale of Boba Fett. It doesn't make sense to me because he's not a work with drug dealers kind of guy. But I don't know. Desperate times call for desperate measures. Maybe he's trying to
You
take
think we'll
over.
see any of that hashed out in the Ahsoka show?
Oh, we're going to see Thrawn in the Ahsoka show 100%. 100%. I hope that he kills her.
Ahsoka's show, where is it at in the timeline? Like, it's all earlier on, right? It's like between
Ahsoka's
3
and 4. No.
It's current.
We might see
current to Mando.
We might see things, but the Ahsoka show, their focus is it's going to be Ahsoka and Sabine looking for Ezra Bridger, who's with Thrawn right now.
Gotcha.
That's why, to me, like looking far into the future, I don't see Thrawn being the main bad guy of the bigger picture, the way that he was in the Legends material, because A, in new content, he's much more reasonable. B, in new content. So in Legends, he was kicked out by the Chiss and picked up by the Empire. In canon, he's kicked out, but it's like a secret mission he goes on because there's a big threat looming over the Chiss ascendancy, and he's trying to find allies for this bigger threat. So his number one thing, and this is something he says, and it's on the back of the cover for the new Thrawn book, is I will protect the Chiss ascendancy at all costs, no matter what it takes, no matter what it costs. And so to me, if he talks with Ezra, and as you know, time's gone by and the Empire's fallen, why would he try to reestablish the Empire if they can't help the Chiss anymore? So maybe he's the bad guy and he has a change of heart. I don't know. But right. I can't see a world where him and Ezra coexist for like months on end or however long, God knows how long they're going to be hanging out. And he doesn't see things from Ezra's point of view. Like he's not the kind of guy that is so set in his ways that he won't listen to your side. Like he wants to know what's the clearest, most easy path of victory for his people. So if that means jumping ship because the Empire's fallen and trying to get on with Luke Skywalker and the New Republic, that's what he's going to do.
Right. I feel like we'll see. It's probably going to be a send off of him reuniting with the Chiss, because I don't see him coming back and being either super bad or super good one way or the other, and not being prominent in Resistance era stuff. So
yeah, I think that
probably they team
it's
up
weird
and
because
some other bad guy, and
he's not the total bad guy that we've gotten from the old stuff. But because the First Order exists, he can't be. So as a fan and as a guy who's read like everything that's ever come out about Thrawn, every book, every comic, every commentary, every anything, I don't see a world where Thrawn is present in the known galaxy and he's not at the head of something somewhere when the
Right.
First Order rises, that he's not either a part of the First Order or a part of the resistance against the First Order. So the fact that he's not prominent in the sequel trilogy makes me think that he's gone out of the picture. And I don't want him to be dead. So I'm hoping he's just out there in wild space somewhere, just doing something crazy.
One of the things that he was really known for was building this fleet, though, right?
Yeah,
Like,
the
that
Dark
was
Force.
and so any chance in the world that coincides with the fleet that the Emperor has in 9 at all?
No, because the Emperor sees. So here's the thing. So Thrawn's like a chess player, right? So like in the book Thrawn Alliances, Vader's like, "Have you thought of a way to defeat me, to kill me?" And Thrawn says, "I've thought of 3 ways to kill you." And he's talking to Darth Vader. That's one thing that's cool about Thrawn is he's confident because he's so analytical. Like he doesn't understand the emotional trauma of you don't talk to Vader like that. He's asked a question, he gives an honest answer. So in the Thrawn trilogy, not the Ascendancy trilogy, but just the regular Thrawn trilogy that reintroduces him into canon, by the end of it, it's revealed that the Emperor welcomes Thrawn because he wants a bridge to take over the Chiss Ascendancy. But it's also revealed that Thrawn knows that, he understands that, and he can totally read the Emperor, and he's going to try to get one on the Emperor before, like they're both playing each other. So I don't think that the Emperor would have let Thrawn in on Exegol. It's too big of a piece on the game board to have someone who's not 100% in your fold know about it. He knows, and he's talked to Vader and said Thrawn's in it for the Chiss. He's not in it for the Empire. He's not in it for the Sith. The Final Order was kind of a step up from, you have the Empire who's loyal to the Empire because they think that the Jedi were evil and it's going to replace order in the galaxy. The Final Order is a Sith cult. I mean, the people who are there by the time that the sequel trilogy takes place, there are hundreds, if not thousands, if not millions of people who have been born on Exegol, who are raised by Sith cultists, and they're flying these TIE fighters for the glory of the Sith. Like,
Yeah.
that's one of those things that you have a movie and there's so much cram packed into the Rise of Skywalker to try to appease fans who didn't like The Last Jedi, who are also trying to figure out the end of this trilogy. And that could have been a whole freaking series in itself, is the Final Order. Let's find out what the freak is going on. These are Sith cultists. What do they look like? What are they chanting in that arena? What do they wear?
Right.
What do they eat? I want to know all of these things. And I got a couple of chants and a weird random group of starfighters that nobody knows how to get to Exegol except for these 3 million people who come to save the day. Kylo Ren had to have a Sith Wayfinder to get to Exegol. He's the most gifted Force user we've seen on screen since Chief Palpatine. And the whole crew of Spaceballs can get there in 30 minutes.
But no, R2 sends it out to everybody, didn't he?
But you still have to navigate it. You still have to navigate it.
I know, but it's just amazing. R2 has saved the day in every timeline so far. Star Wars.
It's so funny because he saves the day, but then Din Djarin's like, "Hey, droid, tell me where Skywalker is." Like,
it's funny that R2 I feel like R2D2 is probably the main character of the Star Wars universe. We have not.
He's definitely. If it wasn't for R2, Force. Everyone would be dead.
I'm telling you, R2 is the Force in a person. It's like it's R2.
Like, imagine if, like, what if R2 didn't reverse the elevators on Grievous's flagship at the beginning of Revenge of the Sith, and the Emperor, Anakin, and Obi-Wan all just get smushed at the beginning of Revenge of the Sith, and the whole galaxy is just thrown into disarray.
Yeah,
probably would have been for the better of the galaxy, actually, at that point. I'll trade you one Obi-Wan for Darth Vader and the Emperor. Okay, so 2 wild predictions for the finale. And I was telling Chance earlier, Zach, he's like, I don't know how to make a prediction. And I was like, just tell me something crazy that you'd want to see, even if you don't think it's possible. So I'll throw one out here to Chance that we talked about before we started recording, and give me your take on if you think it's possible and how it would play out. But so let's say the Pike Syndicate and them taking over Tatooine is a bigger deal, and it gets out to the New Republic, and the New Republic sends some trusted people who know Tatooine back, and Han Solo and Chewbacca show up in the finale, and Chewbacca and Black Chrysanthemum are technically on the same side. How's it play out?
That's just wild. I don't see how that could possibly happen with one episode left, unless they had spent the last two episodes preparing us for it.
Right.
But the fact that the last two episodes have been more Mando than anything, I feel like that, I don't see how they could introduce more new characters in the finale here.
It'd be exhausting trying to just bring in more and more people.
So we need Boss, Han Solo, Chewbacca, Leia,
right?
Admiral Akbar. That's who needs a show to right the wrong that was done in The Last Jedi. We need an Admiral Akbar show. But it's really crazy because if you think about it, like, imagine, okay, obviously, like you said, there's been so much time away from the main line of the story. But imagine what if they had been building up to the New Republic getting involved and they send Han and Chewbacca. Obviously, Chewbacca and Black Chrysanthemum have beef. But then what if Bosk is on the other side with the Syndicate? So now you have Black Chrysanthemum versus Bosk versus Chewbacca, and it's just like this crazy triangle.
I don't think Chewbacca's beaten Chrysanthemum.
So Chewbacca has beaten Chrysanthemum in the comics, but it's 100% because of plot armor. Because we all know in a legitimate fight, Black Chrysanthemum would wipe the floor with Chewbacca. Like, Chewbacca's he's amazing. He's an amazing character. I'm a Chewbacca apologist, but it's well known to Star Wars fans that Chewbacca is kind of on the wimpier side. Not wimpier, but like there's a lot of talk. He's not built like a Wookiee should be built. Make sense?
Yeah. I just feel like Chewbacca there's a lot of threats. I don't feel like we get a whole lot, particularly in the movies. I don't feel like you actually see a lot of violence from Chewbacca because that's not what they wanted. They wanted a character that the big scary beast that's actually the big teddy bear and that kind of character. And so that's what you get with Chewbacca. They really do a good job of making you sympathize with a character that you can't understand. And
I think the only way that we get a big character that's not already been revealed is, again, if it's a Book of Boba season 2. But I would rather Boba be a bigger part of the Mando story than to stay on Tatooine for another minute.
Right.
Let it rot.
It feels too small for
the
Boba.
Hutts knew what they were doing. It's a worthless rock. Just get the freak out of there. All right. What's one thing, if you got to write the script, one thing you would like to see in the finale, Chance? And then we'll go to Zach and then we'll close out.
I'm interested to see if Kira is going to make an appearance at some point, whether it's in this or in some other capacity, just because they have done nothing to my knowledge with that character for the most part. There's some.
Well, they started the new comic
there's
called
some comics,
Crimson Reign, which is.
But I'm here. I've heard a lot of speculation.
It is very suspicious.
I've heard a lot of speculation about Crimson Dawn. Obviously, Disney. They know what they're doing when they're talking about creating timelines and planning things ahead.
Right.
I think that, right now they're making such a big push on High Republic stuff with the younger audience. And I just think it's because in 10 or 15 years, they're going to roll out a whole bunch of new High Republic movies. And they want a bunch of people like us that have already grown up in it, that are diehards. They're trying to create a new wave of that. So I think, to me, it makes sense.
It's like they're getting a huge payoff right now from like the Clone Wars movie. Didn't care for it in 2008 when it came out. And I didn't like Ahsoka. And now we all love Ahsoka, and Cad Bane's the talk of the town. So
absolutely.
That was before the Disney purchase, but it's still 12 years ago.
Yeah. It's a plan ahead. So I think that's what they're doing with High Republic. But I say all that to say that, that's why I feel like at some point Kira's got to make an appearance. They went to too much trouble to make the mainstream audience know that Maul is alive at the end of Solo, and that Kira was specifically his apprentice. And they did all that trouble to make sure you know that.
Yeah,
but
we all know that Maul is gone by now.
But they haven't done anything to the mainstream audience with that again. And obviously the comic book audience is considerably smaller.
100%.
And so, I feel like that we've got to see that character back at some point actually performing. And in the comics, one of the things that is, that she was formidable and believable as an apprentice to Maul. And so I think that, that's my wild prediction is, does she make an appearance? Maybe not even in this episode, but the classic at the end of the credits almost type thing. Like,
the Book of Boba Fett,
Yeah,
The whole
exactly.
trailer for the Book of Boba Fett was just that little scene at the end. We had no,
Yeah.
they had just, there was rumors about a Boba Fett show. They did that big investor thing, didn't reveal a Boba Fett show because the next week at the end of the, Mandalorian finale, we got a Book of Boba Fett reveal. So
Absolutely.
could very
I'm wondering
much be
if
something like
Akira,
that.
yeah, if Akira is going to be that kind of moment. Crimson Dawn comes in at the end of this next episode. We find out they're the ones, because that's been speculation everybody's had anyway. And
yeah,
we
Crimson
find out
Dawn
at the very
show.
end of the episode that, and they do a good job with this, right? The end of Mando season 1, all of a sudden, boom, Darksaber. We're all blown away. End of Mando season 2, boom, there's Luke Skywalker. We're all blown away. And I just feel like, for them to end this season with Crimson, maybe Boba and Mando, they take care of business with the Pikes. And then at the very end, Crimson Dawn shows up. We get this quick flash of Kira, and we know the story's not over. So that's my prediction.
100%. Okay, Zach, 2 bold predictions for the finale that is only a few hours away at this point. I'm so excited.
Unrealistic. I agree with you. A boss would be sick. I don't think they're going to bring Luke back in, but seeing Luke drop in there and just slice through a couple Pikes would be sick. But I think it's pretty unrealistic. Realistically, I think we are going to see a couple of characters die. I think Finnick is most likely, in my opinion. I think maybe Chrysanthemum. And then I agree. I think they're done with nodding and showing Mando stuff. So I think they will send a nod to another character or another storyline. And I have to agree with Chance. I think it's probably going to be Kira and them. I think you probably get a clip, like a little clip from behind, and it's like Kira's ponytail or something silly like that.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to get like a little tiny just blip.
So they don't have to pay Homegirl for the episode.
Right. They can use whoever they want. They're like, oh, that's Kira. You just
do the body,
Yeah.
dude. At this point, with
Right.
the freaking technology they have, they can just paint her in like they've been doing with Luke. You know what I mean? You pay her a royalty fee versus the whole fee.
I think send-off wise, I think we are going to see the Pikes done. I think Boba's going to claim his throne. We'll probably see a cool just moment of him just standing on top of something. But I don't know if they're going to continue the Boba story. I think we'll see him do some cameos, maybe in Mando, maybe a couple other projects, maybe Ahsoka, but stuff kind of within the time we're in. But I think they're going to kind of do a simple send-off for Boba, and we'll close out with like a cool little cameo for something in the future.
I agree.
Before you do your show, I also feel like it'd be really cool to see a moment where maybe Boba gets kind of his senses knocked out of him for just a second, and you get one more Camino flashback, like
with
just
Jango Fett.
Yeah, you get some sort of like he just gets like he just gets rocked by something, someone falls on him, something like that, and you get that just because they did a lot with the Tatooine and the Sand People side, but not. I'd like to see just give me something with Camino. Give me something.
What I think would be cool is if they do a mirror effect of like scene to scene of like him and Jango, and it's like they like turn and they shoot, and it's like it goes flash, 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 and it's like Jango Boba, like doing the same movements and kind of mirror effect through like a couple scenes. Yeah. That would be awesome.
I think that would be sick. Okay, I'll give you 2 crazy predictions. All right, that I haven't said yet. All right, here we go. 2 crazy predictions. And we're running out of time again because we love this stuff. All right, 2 crazy predictions. Number 1, we see another clone trooper on screen with Boba Fett. He's been looking for a family. He found it with the Tuskens. It's been taken away. Now's the perfect time for a Rex or someone like that to show up and be like, "Heard you need a little help." That would be sick, because in the Clone Wars, he's like, "You're not my brothers." But now he wants that. He's matured. He's different. And to see Tamura Morrison talk to Tamura Morrison, I don't give a flying frick if it's corny. I want it. To see him, or to see, like, what if Wrecker walks on screen and goes, "Now this is a fight," something crazy like that. Okay, another bold prediction would be Han Solo does show up for some random reason to Tatooine. Maybe he's not sent by the New Republic. Maybe Chewbacca's not even there, and that takes care of the whole Chrysanthemum conundrum. But I would love to see Han Solo and Boba Fett fighting side by side after being a thorn in each other's side for all these years. And it shows the maturity of both characters laying down their grudge for the greater good of the galaxy. Because Han hates the Pikes. He hates Spice Runners. He had a problem on Corellia with the Grindelids and their whole White Worm gang. The Pikes were a pain in his butt in the Solo movie, and it would be really, really sick. The Pikes enslaved Chewbacca or not Chewbacca, but Wookiees. So I don't know, just something like
if
that.
Han makes an appearance, there's no way we don't get Kira. Because they left that storyline open. If Han, I think we're more likely to see Kira. But if Han makes I think we're more likely to see Kira now and Han in whatever show Kira's featured in.
100%.
That's where I think we see Han again.
100%. Well, dude, thank you guys for hanging out. I told you it'd be 30 minutes, and I think we've been going for almost 2 hours. Or not 2 hours, but like an hour and a half, something like that. But thank you guys for tuning in. Hey, we're going to try to get this uploaded before the finale comes out. So listen to it, watch the video, and see how many of our prophecies come to pass. I'm pretty good at this. So episode 1 of Mandalorian season 2, I said, it'd be neat and really far out there, a crate dragon. And everybody was like, that's kind of crazy. And what do we get? So we'll see. I think he's going to ride the Rancor. I think we're going to get a couple more cameos. I hope that it's an hour and a half long. That's my hope, is that it's a really long episode. That would be sick, because we need some time with Boba. We definitely do. So thank you guys for tuning in. If you like this video, please subscribe to the channel, follow us on all those places, and we will check you next time. May the Force be with you.